People of the Earth, and especially the USA, a Voice in the Dark production with Lori Elliot. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. What if I told you the powers that be are laughing at all of us who are not in the fight for our rights, fight for our compassion, and the fight for our lives. The meek voted for a bully, and the compassionate tolerated a little too much of the giving tree and turning an eye away when it was spoken of the dark, what was going on. Now, what if I told you this whole three-ring circus is to show how defeated you all are, and how much you are not willing to work through and fight the good fight to help one another to bring our world into alignment with our highest timelines, to be here for the greater good of all. Now, I want to know, and so should all of us want to know, just how deep the strings of the elite were pulling and correct all of it, instead of having it taken over by the billionaires that are not part of the elite club, but they're still billionaires. Authoritarianism doesn't work. It doesn't help the general souls here to progress into ascension. Their whole goal is to stop us anyway. However, we've seen now proof that there was fraud and misalignment, misuse. And we can see the trail to Soros, that's what they said, and, the trail to here and to there. So we were being run by the elite, with the Democrats being either too naive or dumb, or just a couple in the know. We also see that there's been an awful lot of illegal work being done for the bull markets, and the lies about our food and gas and everything. The thing is that this is Revelations in the book of the Bible means unveiling for truth. All truth has to come through now. Truth about everybody. And that's what we're starting to see. And the big thing here is, though, is us. Yes, we have to stay on top of this because it's our government. They're supposed to be working for us, not for the elite, not for the billionaires. And the thing is that we need to see each other differently. It's okay if we're different. However, when we come to the table, it's about seeing to your needs, our needs, and everybody's needs. And the needs of the people were minuscule, and they still are minuscule, compared to what the elite take in their tax write-offs and etc. I think it's time that the divisions stop between the people, because as long as they have us divided, and oh my God, you're right and you're right, no, neither one of you are really right. We didn't want to believe, the left side and the everyday people didn't want to believe that all that fraud and all that bullshit was taking place. And common sense says, well, there's going to be some of it, because there always is. You can't have people in power that there's always going to be somebody that's going to try stealing. And they do. You're supposed to find them quicker, and you're supposed to put your hand down on it. Bam! Stop. So, as a people, we realize, what we need to realize is that we need to have a more active observation of what our government is doing. And we're going to have to start limiting terms for Congress and the Supreme Court. And we're going to have to start looking at a lot of things. But to just go in there and ramshack the place right now is bullshit. And it's against the law, what they're doing. So don't worry about that. They'll all get charged eventually. But the thing is that we need to stay together as a people. We need to understand that, okay, the overly educated tend to make us feel uncomfortable. The ones that aren't as educated, that don't have the knowledge. But the thing is, the knowledge is out there if you go look for it. The truth is out there if you look for it. So it's not an excuse if you haven't looked for it and really looked. And yes, there's some things that we would never know, but there's enough out there that we do know. And the left, you know, they need to realize, I don't care how educated you are, you can't be that vulnerable and gullible. There are thieves in the world, and I don't care who we vote in. They're being bought by the elite. The elite came in here 50 years ago and started ruining our regulations. When our regulations were being ruined, that was the start, and they took over the media first. How smart is that? So, the division between the people of this country and the people of the whole world have to stay undivided. We have to stay together as a group worldwide. We have rights. When the original accord was written with the Anunnaki, when they were asked to make these physical forms for the souls that were lost here, we were here long before any other sentient life form. We were here when it was just, you know, some plants and some really cool waters and this and that, you know, and eventually there were animals, and then, you know, eventually we just plumb forgot who the hell we were because we were curious beings. We're already gods. We were curious. We found a hole in space and time and saw this beautiful planet and started making visits to it. And this went on for thousands of years, you know, because we are immortals. Our soul is immortal. We are golden light beings is what we are. We're gods just like Jesus. And the thing is that we were curious. That's all. We really had, the universe was built, you know. Other gods were out there, the Elohim and the powerful ones, and they were doing their things out there. The powerful ones, matter of fact, are some of the best geneticists in the history of creation, really. Well, the thing is that when that accord was written, they were allowed to govern us, but we were to understand and know everything that they were going to do with us. And as time went by, they would hide it in places. They hid what Jesus really taught when he came here. He came here to tell you, this is what you are, what I am. And we all have Mother and Father God up there, and you are the same as me. We're brothers and sisters. You need to remember. But anyway, when the accord was written, we had a right to say, no, I do not consent to that. So start thinking about what you want your new world to be like, because they're going to be here. But we have rights. It's above and beyond the human rights, which are being stomped on right and left, not just by the elite, but boy, by these new regime we got going here in the United States of America. And I hope to God the world understands that that was only half the people that were cheering them on. Anyway, it's a good thing though, because we have found that there was things wrong. But the things that they're doing now are wrong, very wrong, and they have no rights to do it. It's against the law, actually. So it won't be long. This regime will be out the door. So we need to decide what we want for true leadership. And we want the Republican Party and the Democratic Party to do what they originally were always meant to do. And that was just represent what their people want and what their people wanted in the two sides. You know, we shouldn't have two sides. We should have 3 or 4, maybe 5. But the point is, we don't. So we pick the closest side to us. I'm a conservative, but I'm a Democrat. Because Republicans aren't conservatives anymore. They're far right-winged, and they're dangerous, and they're absurd in their thinking, in my opinion. There's a couple of them that are really good Democrats, and they mean well, and they do fight for the people. And I can appreciate that, because that's what they're supposed to do. And the president doesn't have all this power. This is all a facade, and this is all a game they're playing to try to rip us off. So, anyway, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I think it needed to be said. So, the powers you just happily voted in with your basic prejudices do not even care one iota for any of us. We've been played like fiddles, and you fell for it. And that's because I didn't vote for them. Their attitude is, you don't fight back, you don't deserve what you had. So they are going to take it all. See, when we appreciate what we have, we are giving to the greater good of all. That is when we are at our highest power and abilities. When our heart is wide open and we are compassionate and giving and appreciative of what we've got, that is when we are given even more. Because the universe gives what we give. So if you've been stingy, they're getting stingy. Somebody's been stingy. So think about that. Because that's what you're creating from. You're creating from wherever your heart center is. So Jesus isn't coming to save you. He is kicking your ass to bring forward your own powers for the greater good of all. When Jesus came here, he came here to teach you. He was a mystic. He wasn't a Christian. They decided to make him a Christian. And you know who runs the Christians? The Illuminati. You know who the Illuminati are? They're the fucking fallen angels. For God's sakes, the whole place is run by the fallen angels and the powerful ones. You have to grow up, and you have to look at this from a point of view that is real. Heaven and earth are about the same. But we can make heaven on earth, but it comes from inside each of us. It can't be from a minister or a church. It's inside each of us. And until each of us goes inside, meditates, and gets to know our God self and our direct connection to Source, you're going to keep floundering this. And they're talking that they don't want to do this anymore. That they want to absorb your souls. You need to think about this really clearly. And you can't get into heaven without a pure heart. You can have an attitude down here because it's 3D. But you got to have a pure heart to get in heaven. That you need to think about too. They enjoy our energy because it gives them longer and better life. Because they know how to utilize our energy. We don't. We're told not to. Anyway, what I'm saying next is what's most important. I just had to say all that because I felt it's important. But you'll either get it or you won't. It's no big deal. What you do need to understand is we need to heal this divide amongst all people. There are people that are weaker, less likely to fight because it's not their way. But they need people that'll fight for them because they're worthy of it. Just because they don't fight, and they see, because these beings see our niceness as weakness. Ain't that something? And I keep telling them, I said, no, we got the biggest hearts in the universe, but let me tell you something. You know what a big heart means? Big heart means that passion can fire up and we'll fight. Think about it. The strongest beings with heart in the world came to the United States for a better life for their families, and future for their legacies. And that's from all over the world. That's not white. It's black, it's white, and we brought the blacks over with the elite did. Anyway, it's a long story, but let's just get over it. We come in every friggin' color and culture because this isn't our real bodies. This is a temporary, ugly bag of water suit, This isn't what's real about us. What's real is our souls. That's what counts here. That's what counts to get us back in heaven. To remember who we are. We're light beings. Beautiful and joyous, sensuous, creative light beings, because we're co-creators with God, Source, Goddess. And please don't forget the Goddess anymore. It's a shame that they've discontinued her. But the Goddess is actually the Godhead of the whole universe. And she's the most beautiful being you'll ever witness if you ever get that chance. Now, and you will again after your lifetime's here. But this lifetime's really important because this one makes a big choice for us. And we're at that precipice. So you're going to get on the fast lane here of healing. Welcome to heaven. This is it. Whatever you put in is what you get. So for the far right, way to show a lesson. Hats off to you. But you too have been used. You have been serving Satan himself without even knowing it. If you want to talk to God and Source, you need to reach all the way out to the central sun and make sure you're talking to Source and the angels. Make sure you're talking to the right God. Okay. God be with us now. We are seeing the split of the world. Those who raise their voices for the greater good of all. We all know there are differences. Winning is merely crossing the finish line. It's how you cross it that really counts. The biggest winners, in my book, are the ones no one expects to finish. The underdogs, so to speak. They are the ones with the greatest hearts out there. Even with all the ridicule they take and the morons laughing at them. Those who praise bullies are those who feel deeply hurt inside and want one person to blast the rest, except they picked a bully just like the ones that hurt them in the first place. I was torn between leaving people behind, but today, somehow I saw it clearly. These people are extremely hurt. They don't know what the hurt is. They're not even sure. They're just very angry inside, they just don't know and how to realize it. So in laughter and mob mentality, they jumped up for the loudest screaming person in the room because that's what they want to do, scream. That's it. They aren't sure why. They just have some type of pain inside they wrote off and buried. Maybe it stems from childhood. The rich girls or boys, their arrogant attitude towards you. Because, oh, you are not rich like they are. Oh, my. Or an adult who made moves on your precious innocence at an early age and creeped your heart into anger for blindly thinking all adults were safe to be around. That's where your guilt comes from. The list can go on and on. You made the wrong choices once, and you feel you had to stay with it, and secretly wonder what it would be to make a change just for yourself. There are dozens of reasons to make us mad. Let it go. We see this as the new screaming Karens, male and female. These are people who have lived under the thumb of strictness that has choked their voice for so long. They are just screaming at anything because Trump made this possible for them. Angry little people, including our commander-in-chief and his cabinet. Little people who hurt so bad they have only the personal cares of themselves at any cost for anyone else. People who tried to be good little boys and children only to find life isn't what you think, and that even our parents have issues that they hide from us. Instead of looking for freedom from this inner pain, we turn to drugs, alcohol, sex, shopping, eating, working, and any plethora of self-defeating issues. Women tend to lose their voice. Men put them in their place. The screaming inside builds and builds until one day, a superhero, who, by the way, is the same type of person that gave you your scars, but because it is familiar and he is letting out all the hate you hold in, you may have been raped by someone of another color or have had a bad run-in, something that perhaps was taught in schools, or better yet, the fucking news we have been bombarded with for years only showing the bad things going on. You had no one to show you the other side. So if you need to scream and let that damn pain out, let us do it the right way and find the cause. Private message me. I have a small program to help you get through this. The right way to end the pain and anger and find your power again. Women have had enough pain trying to speak. If you had had no choice but to run with a common thread that was only acceptable by your, whatever class it was, your church or your community or your financial economic standard. They're all different. And your voice was put down hard. You need to scream and cry until you cannot no more. Then meditate and talk directly to Source and the angels, allowing the healing and love to come in and the power of you to come through. All people around the world have felt this way for so long, and now is the time to let it go. Responsibly and powerfully. You see, when done correctly, you become a powerhouse of good energy, and your new clarity will bring forth the new earth. Yes. If you see your neighbor coming outside, and screaming, hold space for them. Allow them this in solidarity. We have no clue what everyone has been through at all, but at this time, I'm encouraging people to step outside their front doors and scream until you can't. Then cry and repeat until you have nothing left to scream about. We must realize that we are here to grow. We are here to end division. We are here to make space for others. We have not walked in their shoes. We have not been down the road they have. There are many who have never even addressed the shit they grew up around and barely spoke of it. Let me tell you about kids. If they see a parent, especially a mother, but it can be a father too, who's very fond of someone in the family or friend group, when he decides to use his hands to touch your children, the children don't tell because the mother thought highly of this person. Make note, everyone. None of us are without guilt, shame, or even worse. Some of us have dealt with our childhood and generational pains and past lives. So we must be able to make space for those who are going to do it in the fast lane. So here in the deal, every day at 8 a.m., step outside your front door and scream until you cry. It's not a scream of fear. It's a shockwave. It's a release. If you feel no need to scream, then make eye contact with anyone that does. Then bow your head in reverence for their release. This is holding space for them. Do you have to go get in their energy? No. You stand on your porch and you see them, and all you can do is give them eye contact and a nod. And then you stand there with your hands folded in front of you, and you bow your head, and you stand there giving them space. A witness to their release. They need this. Their child in them needs this. And who are we to deny another a chance to release all that negativity, all that pain, all that sorrow, all that bullshit? Who are we then if we cannot do that? Then at 8 p.m., step outside, all of you, and just stand in reverence for each other. Head held high, looking up or looking down in a bow. We must start somewhere. Stop dividing ourselves from each other. We are the gods playing on the playground of the gods. Let's not let those who want to control us and keep us here as their toys. Let us rise like Jesus, Buddha, Shiva, Krishna. Oh gosh, all the great masters, I don't know all their names, tried to teach us how to become what we are. I'm here, Muhammad, yeah, and whoever wrote the Tao and Buddha, Anyway, as they come to my head, I want to say them. I'm here to tell you, you are already it. Source just wants us to rid the pain of the past lives, to forgive those that hurt us, for ourselves, then forgive ourselves and God, Source, and start fucking living life fully and unashamedly. Take your places in heaven right here, right now. Surrender the pain, the hate, the guilt, the shame. You are enough as you are. When you see someone bullying another, just walk up, put your arm around the one being bullied, and just walk away with them. Now, there's a difference if it's violent. If there's violence, call the police. But do not stand back as an observer of anyone hurting another human being. I was in high school. I'm trying to think if I graduated yet. I went to pick up my sister from high school. There's like 200 cars in the parking lot. And I'm sitting there waiting, and I see these 5 boys trying to beat up a retarded boy. Back then we called it retarded. And he was almost severe. And they were beating him with a big stick and teasing him and calling him names. And the kid was laughing and smiling because he didn't know any better, right? He thought they were playing with him, but they were actually hurting him. And not one parent in that goddamn parking lot stood up. Now, I'm from a rather wealthy town. And I took this as, what the hell? I got out of that car and smacked 3 of them upside the head. 2 of them took off running. I made sure a girl took the boy onto his bus to make sure he's okay. And I turned around and looked at all those parents, and I flipped them all off and said, fuck all of you. Any one of you could have got out of your car and said, hey, knock it off, kids. But did you? So I guess what I'm saying now that I'm older, what I'm saying now is do not participate in things that are easy for you to participate in. I'm not telling you to go in where it's violent, but I am telling you that use your voice the best you can, especially if you got witnesses and you got everything else. But don't use it against people unless they're being violent towards another human being, hurting someone else. You don't make fun of people. Who in the hell are you? Your shit stinks on a bad day, I guarantee it. So knock it off. Your money doesn't make you better than anyone. Matter of fact, in a lot of cases, it makes you worse because you're arrogant and you're ignorant. And you don't appreciate the fact that you have a leg up on everything. And nobody else below you does. They got to work 10 times harder than you'll ever even understand of work. So what I'm saying is you don't have any rights to be ignorant and have your nose in the air. I wish they'd close all the country clubs because it's a bogus air of eccentricity that I don't think we need anymore. I think all rich people ought to have to, maybe we should go back to wearing all the same clothes in the schools so that nobody can tell who's who. You know, not at least by what you're wearing. But I don't think that would make a difference anymore. But what I am saying is, get off your high horses. You're not better than anybody. You just were born in better arrangements. You got to appreciate everybody. There are poverty-stricken beings all over this planet doing some very unique Yankee ingenuity to provide electricity for their mothers so they can have a wash machine. We take all this shit for granted. I come from a well-off family, but we take it for granted that we have air conditioning and heat year-round, and that we have light, and that we have food, and that we have stoves, and we have washers and dryers in our homes. We take all this for granted, and maybe that's why we're right where we're at. That's why I always say travel the world if you can, because once you see some of the poverty out there, even our poverty here isn't like that poverty. It's getting that way now because of the homelessness. But that's because 30 years ago they approved deregulating the jobs here and sending them overseas. Oh, as our mutual, camaraderie with other countries. No, it was just so the people here in big business could get cheaper labor. This country was built to be strong. And somewhere about 50 years ago, it started going the wrong way. And deregulation started that. And then the elite, they have a plan. They've had one. I bought the book. It was written in 1946. They have a plan. They've had this plan for a long time. It got kicked back about 20, 40 years behind where they wanted it to be. But their dystopia is not dystopia. It is another form of control and to keep you down because you won't have anything to build yourself up, to grow. There won't be a reason. And they'll separate everybody the way they see fit. So what I'm saying is, let's heal the divide between all humans, especially in this country, so that we can be a guiding light for other countries. No matter what you have done, it is always forgivable. You are expected to try this and that and fall, then rise. We are perfect in God's eyes, so love yourself and heal. Because our natural state is great joy and sensuality, which is creativity and unconditional love, and it must start within. Jesus made it real clear that the kingdom of heaven and God is in here. This is your heart. It's in here. And there is, you can study all the New Age stuff you want. I prefer the older stuff because it's actually more actual. The newer stuff is not. There's a lot of lies out there right now, and they're getting worse. But I studied all mine about 40, 50 years ago, so. But the whole point is that meditation is the key. They took religions and they took and put a truth in every religion. One truth in every religion. Some religions have two truths, maybe three. But that's it. And then they mixed it all up between all of them. So to truly get to the truth, you need to be a truth seeker. Jesus was not the only master that was sent to this planet. And he was never a Christian. He was a mystic. And that's what he came here to teach you, that you are too. that you have the power to co-create with God, God as all that is, as easily as snapping your fingers, just like he did. It takes practice. And it takes a good heart. But it also takes a strong heart and a strong backbone to say no to a lot of crap. And if you find yourself in hell, which is very real in the sense that it's in your mind, but this is how this all works. You need to understand how it works, because this is a false matrix that was implemented within the spiritual matrix. And I know the matrix sounds like high tech and all that crap, but what it amounts to is it's a box inside of the spiritual realm. And we're in it. And to get out of it, to break free, you're going to have to understand everything about yourself so fully that when they hit you, now they have 7 levels of hell. There are 7 devils on each level, and they represent the 7 deadly sins. And they will torment you with them until you tell them to fuck off. And then you tell them, thanks for teaching me something I needed to know. And then walk away in your own mind. But it's healing yourself. As you heal yourself, they'll come at you even more. And they'll be dumbfounded how you keep healing yourself. You have the ability, each one of you, to heal so profoundly and so quickly. You don't need law of attraction. You don't need any of it. Because you are source. You are the magic. You are the co-creator in his image. He imagined you in his mind. That's how your spark of life and consciousness was created. It's like when we sit when we're little and we think about, playing Barbies or playing games, what do you call it, Army Men, and stuff. You create different personalities all the time. Well, that's what God did. He wanted to see what he'd be like doing this, doing that, and she did too. They've had a blast doing this throughout the universe. And they created children. And you are those children. So embrace yourself with a heart. Forgive yourself. Get off the booze and drugs. I don't mind smoking a joint once in a while. Not at all. Or having an occasional cocktail. But not daily. The only thing I take daily is supplements and sinus medicine and my heart pill. And even that I'm getting ready to work off. So, but I felt my mental healing had to be done first, and then my heart healing and all that. But that's how you get through those 7 levels. And they get harder each level. And then one day you walk out and you go, ha! I am finally in the real world. And the only way to do this, besides the fight you're going to have in your head if you're a drinker, and get rid of the drugs and the alcohol, because the initial battle of the universe between good and bad is going to be in your head. It's a mind fuck here, is what it is. And they are hellacious, and it is going to be the toughest battle you've ever had. But it's well worth it when you get done. And then you have to learn to put the Wi-Fi down, turn it off for more than half the day. Try to turn it off 2/3 of the day. I'm still having trouble with it. But they do use subliminals. So you got to be careful what you're watching and what you're doing. I can hear them, so I can turn it off. I can feel the difference in my energy when I get that used to them. So I know what I can keep on and what I can't. So you have to trust. You have to get to a point where you can trust yourselves again, fully, and not feel unconfident And I will tell those people who are so well educated that sometimes you need to listen, just listen. There is something that they are truly concerned about, and you need to listen to it. And those of you that are concerned about, oh, don't listen to the propaganda. It's all propaganda. If it triggers you emotionally, it's bullshit. It's just to trigger you so they can control you. That's all that is. Do the work. Look it up. I look up emails for senators and congressmen. I write emails. And I send them. Some go through, some don't. And, but I still send them because I believe that we are important and that we have come too far in our personal growth as beings on this planet. An integral aspect of God got us all it is. And being God's, that we have rights. And we need to just simply remember who we are, and we will change reality that quick. So heart center yourselves. And I love you all. My program is being worked out now. Let me know if you're interested. It will kind of get my ball rolling faster. I've been kind of hard to get really super motivated lately. This is for those who are a bit embarrassed stepping out on the front stoop and screaming. But I felt it would make a message to the world. Those of us who can step out on the stoop at 8 o'clock, p.m., a.m., if you think there's a better time to do it, let me know. But that way we're covering most people. But it would make a statement to each of us that I hear you, and I'm here for you. You don't have to make friends with nobody. Because we understand everybody's got busy lives. But in that bare moment that one person's willing to bare themselves to the process and the world and to God, in that one moment you can bear witness to show that you have a heart and you understand that they need this. You don't understand it, and you just put your hands in front of you, kind of overlap them, and put your head down. After you've looked at them and made eye contact and nodded, to let them know, I am here for you, by all means. You're being there for them because that means if there's another one, if anyone complains, let the police come. But you stand there and say, no. They needed this release. Everything's good. They shouldn't have called and told you there was a problem. I'm saying, for once, the people need to be there for each other. Differences and all. And be more involved. Don't scream at people in the parking lots and all that. Just scream in the morning at 8 a.m. and at 8 p.m. Let the world know. And maybe people will start showing up for you. Just outside on their own stoop. What I'm saying is, let's give this a chance to be there for each other. And it may take time. Anyway, so I am working on, if you're too embarrassed by that, I am working on a 4 DVD or download from my YouTube process that you can go through. It'll have the screaming, the crying, the meditation, and affirmations. But if you got a hold of me and you message me, I have my emails on the YouTube all the time. And let me know, because then it'll encourage me to be a little faster at getting it all put together. So every day, twice a day, we all should step outside and for a few minutes just bow in great appreciation. And then a long glance up into the heavenly skies and smile, saying, thank you. And I love you all that are up there. And your passed on loved ones and dogs and all that, they're all with you all the time. They're here. They're watching. They're helping. They want to be there for you. So I don't care what your situation is. There is no judgment from the other side. They understand. Because if you went back through the history of your soul here, for here, you've had many lifetimes. So you've probably experienced just about everything everybody else has. We've all experienced them at different times, that's all. Different lifetimes. So please, learn to love each other and find peace in that. You don't have to be friends with everybody. We're all a little different. We all need different types of people with us. And, but it's time to stop dividing each other. That's what they want to do to own us. And I don't know about you, but if I'm a God, by George, I want to feel it. And I want to make this the kind of world I want to see. So, let's go for it. What say ye? I've always wanted to say that. I'll talk to you later. Lori out.